Life can be what you want it to be. That's the visionary way of saying it. As the producer and creator of this show, and just, thinking of some great questions to ask our great people that are coming in, it feels like we really want to find our authenticity. Like, I mean, really, to get those tools so we can breathe it in and really get to our heart and feel it. This is so important these days. I don't know what you think out there. It just feels all about like love and encompassing. And it's opposite when you really look out there. So we got to be in truth. When I think about why Fresh Talks Global Vision is here, it's about being able to really see your personal vision and upon the self of that you are doing your creative work to open up your mind, to open up your heart, to be able to serve in a way, first of serving yourself, because we're hashtag speaker, locking arms. As a speaker, as a person of going and talking, when you're at the cash register, when you're getting your fruit and vegetables, when you're walking down the street, when you're having a conversation like this, that you are believing that there's a bigger purpose here. And it starts opening up in a way that feels so different. And I love how our new person coming in today, it's interesting is the word new, because Sheila, I don't think that it's been 3 or 4 times you've been on the show, but maybe you're arriving new. Maybe that's where that new word came from. But how many times have you actually truly been on this show?
I think twice.
Okay, then this will be the 3rd time because we did the piano.
And then we did one with all of us were 80 or approaching 80. We were in late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the 3rd time, right?
Yeah. And then I met you on a speaker's show, I think Lisa's speaker's show, and that's the first time we met. So that was the invitation.
Oh, that's right.
You created an invitation for me to come and speak with you.
That's right.
At that
and
time.
I love how, okay, so when we were together, I believe this is when we started talking about just kind of like the iconic space. Did you, because I want to hold the space about like how to be creating something bigger and bolder. And I love when you came up with that phrasing about being soft and leaning into it and receiving, and how we get to lean in and be the essence of icon experience in life and representing yourself and showing up. Can you give me some experience about this iconic space when it comes to what definition that's kind of starting to be created around you after you've been playing around with it for a while? Like, what does that really mean? And how does that help you when you decide to lean in and be iconic?
Well, when we had that chat around iconic, I don't know actually where that came from. I would take iconic to mean unique, and I would say that for every individual, whether I know them or not, every individual is going to be unique. The question is, will you allow yourself to believe it? Yeah. And then be yourself and speak to the truth of your own experience. So I think for me, some of the things that I've created and co-created this year, in January, I decided that I wanted to create a group for women over 60. And somebody asked me, well, what about the ones who were 58 and 59? And I said, no, there is a point at 60 where you've been through your Saturn return, and you have some elder wisdom. I'm not saying that anybody below 60 doesn't have that. Of course they do. My own daughter is past 50, and she's a wise woman. But she's moving through the physiological things that she's moving through right now. I'm long past it, because I actually, of the group that I co-created with 2 other women well into their 60s, I just turned 80 in January, so I'm in my 81st year. I'm the oldest one that is there. I think we are women. We called ourselves unfiltered after 60. And basically, it was just really looking at some of the things that are really, really important to us and our ideas and what we have to think about that and carry on. So, the body of knowledge that I literally walked into in my 60s, I had been pretty well educated in terms of healing work. I'd had I've had I've been a minister, a designated minister of primarily officiating at weddings since 2006 in Canada, 2004 in the U.S. when I lived there, and I have owned retail shops. I've been a trainer. I've been a teacher. I've been an educator, and I think finally in my 60s, when I had gone through a very dark night of the soul, I fell into something where I changed my perspective on who and what I was, who I was as a human being, and what it means to be human. And this day and age, when there is so much going on with transhumanism and AI, we need to. I'm not saying anything against it. There are certain aspects of AI that have really helped human beings a lot, but not to lose sight of our humanity. And just to be absolutely, as much as you can in the moment, be yourself and tell the truth. So be yourself and tell the truth, for a lot of people, men included, can be a very, very difficult place to go because we always want to fit in.
Yeah.
I think at an older age, something happens when you start looking at it and you think, really, for me, time is my currency right now. I might make it till 90. I move well, I'm working all the time. I'm still seeing clients. I'm still having fun. However, time is my currency right now. So it's like, even now, I'm rethinking about how I'm doing things that I know how to do well, that I'm really, really good at. They're familiar, and it's easy to just draw back into that.
Yeah.
And know that maybe that's not the thing to be engaging anymore. Maybe there's something else there, and it takes courage to just let go. And as we would say, let courage to let go and let God. So the perspective that I walked into was with a body of knowledge called Wealth Systems, Working Environments as Living Systems, and the founder became a good friend. And having been highly educated in NLP, hypnosis, cranial work, trance states, you name it, I've pretty much done it in terms of the healing arts. I had never really considered that most of us are living according to a default context, which is, here's what normal looks like and you've got to be normal, or here's what's broken, you've got to be you got to fix it. And so often, even in the marketing venues that are out there, it's like find the problem the person has and then solve it. The presuppositions in there is that everybody's got a problem and something's got to be solved and you're the person to do it. I don't know that that's always true.
Yeah.
So I started really thinking differently and looking at myself as a small g God, big F force, and that's what I think everybody is.
Yeah.
And actually living with that idea so that I could start to look at people through those eyes and see them differently, hear them differently. And what I've discovered is that a lot of the time you don't need to fix anything. All you really need to do is to invite somebody to empty out unconditionally in a safe space, and don't interrupt them, don't give them any advice, don't do anything. And all of a sudden they've solved their own issue, and they've cleared it up. And I've seen it happen. I had somebody who came in to see me. I listened to what was going on. I could see the tension, the deep sadness and the rage at the same time, and the guilt and everything else that was going on. And I just suggested to her if she felt safe enough to empty it out. And she did. And by the time she got home an hour later, her whole relationship with her husband that she was really worried about had completely changed. So it doesn't take a whole lot, but you do have to be willing to hear it. And I know when stuff comes up for me and it's triggering my own things, I know that I've got work to do. You can't really help another person unless you're willing to take a breath and be present to what's going on to them, and not advise or not move to get away from them.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's answered your question, but
Well,
there it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack, but very easy to follow what you're saying. I love how you were talking about truth, and I think that can be a trigger word for a lot of people in our
Yeah.
mind, especially when you're talking about somebody coming in and ready to unpack it and let things, be just by being in a safe space so they can do what they need to do, which is learn and discover what they're saying to what they are working through to within a short period of time. It gets dissolved, and it can be as easy as that. And it is easy, I feel like, when we're talking about that. You're saying that you are 80 and then you only have time is very important right now, each day, and
Yeah,
where you
it
spend
is.
your time. And if we all did that, it would be very powerful in the decisions that you make. And so I go back to that truth, like, how does it feel when you're making those decisions? And everybody coming in and having a conversation, if you carry that energy and that feeling like you are there to not sell and try and find people, where they're at, so you can manipulate it, and so then you can have a new client. They just show up, and the right people come in front of you that are really ready to do the work. So our work on what we do becomes easier because you're not trying to nail down that person that should be working with you, that you may be bringing them in when they're not ready to. And it can be a big battle between what they're trying to release to, the confusion that they have, and they're not at that spot. And sometimes they come there because they do need to be a client, because they want somebody to hold the safe space as they unpack.
Mm-hmm.
But I can
Right.
see the iconic space that you're holding, meaning, and you put it into great phrasing. It's really authentically being yourself and showing up and speaking who you are, being relaxed and knowing that everything is all here right now. And those are incredible people to hang out with, that we get to be in the same community. And that's what I feel like about what we do here in the Fresh Talks Global Vision is we are looking to entertain our mind so that we can feel safe in every decision we make, and we can start unpacking those things that are the past patterns.
Right.
But Sheila, because there are people that could come and be in the room with you if you're doing Zoom or you're in person, but they're not really ready to unpack. So I think the people that you're getting, you're a beam, and they know that's a space, to be coming in and having these conversations where things can change in moments for them, because we hear that stuff happens consistently, and you're seeing it all the time. But we saw people out there that are battling. So a question for you about the bridge. When is somebody that you feel they're ready to cross over the bridge, or they're getting close? And this is for our viewers to know, kind of check in with themselves. Like, you're just not very far away from being able to release patterns that are really disturbing you, or relationships. But when you're talking to people and you're on the other side of the bridge going, hey, this is where it is, and they're trying to find that bridge from where they are. What are some of the things that you're noticing that they're leaning in personality or mistrust within themselves, or things that they're dealing with in characteristics that's just right there in front of them and you can feel it and you're ready to support and hold that space? What is it that you usually see in somebody's eyes or that you hear them say in your years of experience in what you do?
Wow, that's a big question. It's so intuitive for me. I basically just and I'm not. It's an interesting thing to say this, that I've gotten to the point where I'm calibrating for movements all the time, that I'm almost doing it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so I will, I may be calibrating the markings, the analogical markings that a person is making with the body. So this morning I was teaching a class, and one of the women, just given what we were doing, just got, I can't use the word agitated, but she just needed to get up and move. And so,
Yeah.
the encouragement is just get up and move, follow through what we're doing, get up and move, do what you feel intuitively you need to do, whatever your body literally wants to do.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing for me is just to be in a relaxed and restorative position in my own self, listen to people, ask some questions. There's a fine line between asking a really huge, deep question that will be welcomed and asking a huge, deep question that might put resistance up. So it's like just testing it out, engaging it, and then talking to them. And as they respond to the answers, I'm not giving them answers. I'm generally just listening and asking a question, listening and asking a question, and seeing what their response is. Noticing intuitively if they're responding to me in a way that they think I want to hear it, which would be an
Oh.
invitation. Yeah, an invitation to step in. In other words, that's information for me that there's fear there.
Mm.
And and just letting it ride, not second guessing them, not doubting them, just letting it ride, and then continuing to ask the questions. People, the biggest thing I think people have is they just want to trust. They just
Yeah.
want to trust that they're going to be heard and that they're going to be honored. And trust is kind of at a premium for some people these days.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's not going to happen on the first visit. I might meet them and I might see them again 2 months later.
Yeah.
And they might not even be a client yet. But when they start to get a feel for, okay, maybe I can go someplace with this person. The person that I just talked to you about, that was several months ago. I happened to go on to a business networking meeting. It turns out that she had done her training in neurolinguistics and hypnosis with a person that I had done the training with,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to know more. So she was using her skills in a particular way. I was using my skills in a particular way. Um, and she's about my daughter's age, so there was that dynamic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just said to her, if you want to have an experience of how I move through my world, uh, I'll offer you this as a gift. And I said, just do not be afraid to reach out and ask me. Well, she waited 2 weeks and then she reached out and asked me. So we made the appointment. And when she came in, it was probably no accidents in the universe that she chose when she did, because that was, as you were talking earlier, not a good day.
Yeah.
And then to have the breakthrough And I didn't do anything other than sit in a private room with her and ask her questions and listen. And then she got up and left, and that was it. And most people, that's what they want. Now, I'm really interested in energy and the movement of energy
Yeah.
in the body as information. And there's a lot of things that will take people into a rest and restorative response, a parasympathetic response, that they will shut down in the body because we've been culturally conditioned to believe that it's rude. The things like yawning in front of people,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the things like belching in front of people, or the things like flat, simple word, farting in front of people. Getting hot and cold, staring, rapid eye movement, all the things that happen when the body's going out of high alert into a parasympathetic response. A lot of it we've been stomach sounds and bowel sounds, and we've
Yeah.
been culturally conditioned to believe that those are inappropriate and not right. So those are the ground rules that I lay for anybody that I'm talking to. If I see somebody yawning, I'm going, great, it's working. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But a lot of people,
Yeah.
particularly people in the healing arts, don't realize that. That is a big part of the restorative response in the body. So
Mm.
when you give people safe to just let their bodies be who they, where they're at, and let
Mhm.
them be who they are, and uh, just let them be free to speak,
Yeah.
magic happens. Doesn't take
I,
too
I
much.
love that magic, Sheila. The magic is like what you said, like trust, and I find the word safety to be very special also.
Right.
And knowing that whatever you say, that you are in a good space also. You're really in your heart center to be available for when you are saying something, that something is going to come back, and it could be something that is um, breathing and just leaning in.
Yeah.
And it gives you more space in that open space, which can be vulnerable for a lot of people. It can
Yeah.
give them a hiccup, or they start, they start doing the belching or whatever it is. So can we go into that area when you're working with somebody? I'm thinking what I've heard you say in the past is softening. And I think of softening as like receiving. You're like opening yourself up to space.
Mhm.
Can you share what softening is in the body, and what that really that means, and what you're looking for to be able to help move things forward, to be able to perceive things in a way that really serve you?
Well, think about it as expansion and contraction. If you, I had an invitation sent to me yesterday uh, by a mentor, my mentor, and she said, "This is by invitation only. Here's what I'm creating in the next 6 months.
Mm.
Here are all," and she set all the boundaries around it. And I wrote back and I said, "I'm in," and the boundaries restrict. So it's basically show up and be all in. And uh, I wrote back to her and I said, "I feel the rush of fear and excitement at one and the same time." Laugh out loud. Which one is which? So I say that to you because anytime, so many times during the day, things are firing off in the body. Some of it feels really great, and some of it goes, wait a minute, am I going to do that? And
Yeah.
and um, so the softening is like the only way, especially when the body goes like that, and you go into, I'm going to call it high alert. You get triggered on something, and
Yeah.
the body, that unconscious aspect of you is running way faster than your mind can ever keep up. So
Yeah.
you start running all the reasons why you can't or why you shouldn't. or why you can and why you should. It can work either way. And it's the only way to get to that place of softening, so you can get some space, so you can get some clarity of thinking, so that your mind can follow what's happening in the body, is to stop and to take a big breath. Now, there is a few other things. You could soften your focus out 180 degrees. So it's like going into peripheral vision here and expanding it around. Relaxing your jaw. This is a big one because it's connected to the reticular activating system in the brain. And so the jaw, people grind and they collapse their jaws and they do all this thing, and they can feel things lock up. It's consciously relaxing the jaw, going into peripheral vision, and then softening the belly. And that's the softening, the whole belly, letting it hang out and taking a big breath in and a big breath out. And you do it again and again and again. You might have to do it 3 or 4 times until your body literally is soft. And then this wave of energy that you call the trigger starts to move through. And it's over in about 10 seconds. Problem with humans is that they always want to know why. They always...
Curiosity, Sheila.
Yeah, sure, but then they can make up a story about it, and the story gets attached to the feeling, and they are not the same thing. It's like, just let yourself have the feeling, take a breath, and let it move through, and then you'll be ready for the next breath, and the next move through, and the next breath, and the next move through. So that's what I mean, and that is the actual act of reciprocity. It's exhaling so that you inhale again. Physiologically, you can't have a next inhale without the exhale, because as the carbon dioxide is excreted, it invites the influx of oxygen. And I don't think people actually realize that. It's not just a metaphor, it's fundamentally sound. But you really cannot have the thing you want unless you exhale what you don't want. Nature abhors a vacuum. So there's a lot of metaphor in it, but there's a lot of fundamental stuff that goes on. And we're looking for space to be yourself. Some feeling of spaciousness in the body, movement. That's the body is a quantum biological processor, so that's where all the digestion and metabolism happens, of not just the stuff that you're actually feeding your body in terms of food. It's the stuff you're feeding your mind. It's and all the emotional and the spiritual. For lack of a better word, stuff that goes on in our lives. So I've trained in a lot of stuff that will assist people to get the wave of energy and information moving. Other terminology would say you're blocked. You're not blocked. I don't know that anybody's ever blocked, but things slow down and things get heavy, and all we're looking for is to get some space moving and flow in all areas of your life at all logical levels of thinking. So that's the softening, and that is going to be, while the way to do it or to engage it can have some steps. Breathe in, breathe out, soften the body. Tell yourself the truth of your experience in the moment. So like, I can remember one time looking at my husband, we were going through something, and I said, oh my gosh, I am so scared. And he looked at me and he said, well, I got to tell you, I'm scared too. And then when you get that out, you feel you feel less vulnerable, and you don't feel like you have to be the strong one, and then you can move through it. And so we moved through whatever we were moving through together. So it's in that moment about being so willing to just own the truth of the moment that you're having. I'm pissed off, I'm angry, oh gosh, I wish that hadn't happened, I feel really guilty about that. And people will try and talk you out of it. Just say, no, let me have my moment. Just literally let me have my moment, and stay with the breath, and you will digest and metabolize it all by yourself. And
Yeah.
you become this massive invitation for other people to go, God, that was easy. How did you do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what, and it actually just moves so much energy and information that you are actually revealing yourself as the iconic person that you are, the absolute genuine person that you're here to be and become.
I love the conversation about the softening in our vessel, being able to have that space to be able to be open to new things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we keep feeding our vessel with information, not slowing down, not softening, just working. I think we have to be
Right.
working really, really hard. It's easy to feel like there's nothing else there but what's right there in front of us, the black and white, what you can see. It's hard to really step outside of that and see all the miracles and experience of being able to live a fulfilling, iconic, loving, creative life.
Right.
And
Well,
so
there's
I
no.
love your definition about the softening, because I could start feeling the softening of the belly, the softening of the shoulders, just letting things go, that the thoughts, pinching the brain to be able to get to the next answer, or ready to fight because there's something else going on.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like, I find it's like a body healing experience, because then the nervous system, the inside, the deep inside, feels safe to be calm,
Mm-hmm.
feels safe to have that space in their vessel to be able to receive more, or just be open, and
Right.
nothing's coming except just pure calm. But when that good stuff of being able to discover what life you want to be creating, or that you've been thinking, I want to have this life, I want to have this business, I want to have whatever, and that stuff starts coming naturally to you, and you're not fighting and trying to calculate and trying to figure it out. But there's people that come into your life that just seem to have the right conversation because you're keeping yourself open. What is it for you? Because you've been talking about how you can be sitting with somebody and they get what they want, and then by the time they kind of separate and process their journey and letting things go, that they really are perhaps a new person. They're seeing things differently. What is it that you are seeing? And I want you to partner in this experience about, our thing about hashtag speaker locking arms to open the voice,
Mm-hmm.
to stop the blaming and shaming. What is it that you are feeling that you are here for in this time and age and the stuff that's going on? What are you discovering while you're sitting quietly and helping people process things? And what is it that you feel that you're representing here for yourself and for the people that get to be with you?
Well, that's a great question, because I was sitting out in my gazebo thinking, I'm going to be asked my why, and I don't even know that I have a why, and that will
Ooh.
find the face of all kinds of markers. I came here. I I I've had a lifetime of nursing. I've had a lifetime of ministry, even though part of that ministry was running cosmetic shops, for in Canada, and I had one in the U.S. for a while. Um, but I wasn't. It was a vehicle. I
Yeah.
was selling cosmetics. I was doing way bigger stuff in the cosmetic shop. Basically, it was a vehicle to listen to people, for particularly women who just wanted to look pretty and they wanted to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of clients that just showed up to do the refills on their cosmetics, but just to check in on basically where they were at. So
Yeah.
I've always been here, I think, primarily to listen, and then to give a shit. Really, I mean, pardon my language, but it's to just care. At the same time, I was talking to somebody this morning in the program that I'm running, and I recognized in her capacity as a support worker to be the savior. And that was my journey, basically, to stop running to be the savior.
Yeah.
And telling myself that I wasn't doing it, but in fact I was. And so it's like, that's a journey in and of itself. So that when do you allow people the opportunity to fulfill their own destinies? You don't have to know what they are, their own journeys, by looking at what's really important to you, staying with what's really meaningful and important to you, still caring for others and support, but not taking over, so that they don't ever have a chance to well, they might have the chance, but as long as somebody's there to do it for them, they're not going to take the chance to actually see what's possible for them. You'll never leave them the space to test it out on their own. And I think that's really, I'm glad you asked the question, because I think I'm basically here to test my own bottom lines, and show people that they can test out their own, and they can test out their own, and they don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
context. Context is everything.
And it's finding that space of being open. That I was going to bring up something just about patterns, not really realizing that the limiting space that we could potentially live in and get so lost in the stories and the feelings and the emotions that really aren't truthful. When you are in the right space, you actually really do feel like you're being loved. You really feel like you are a superpower, a person that gets to love on others. But a lot of the stuff that happens is we kind of get lost in all those other areas that just keep pulling us into reminding us of things that aren't working. I love this conversation because it gives opportunity for people to journal, see how they're feeling in the experience, and being able to see what their definition of iconic, trust, what are, like, when I asked you that question, like, pretty much like, why are you here? And you're like, I gonna think I was gonna be asked about my why, but you really broke it down to just being, that you're here as a vessel to be able to help process and be able to learn the experiences so that you can help more people that are seeking it. And we did choose to be here during this time when there's all these things happening. So it gives lightness to being able to stand in truth with that and keep doing the work to be able to keep clearing your vessel, because it really has a lot to do with health and wellness. The more that you can keep your mind and your heart and coherent with everything in the flow, the longer we get to be here in life. I mean, that's here. I mean, you never know. I mean, there's the news out there. It tells you all the bad stuff that's going on out there. So those things can happen to you. So it's not always about your age and stuff. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the maturity that we keep having and exploring what iconic means, knowing that when we were together, we were starting to talk about this because something came up with the theme that we had. But I love using those big words that come from like the Webster Dictionary or wherever it originally came from, maybe after that. But it is a way to discover that we keep growing creatively and how we get to express why we're here, that we don't have to keep trying to find our why and try and nail it down. It's like you just get to be yourself, your gem.
I thank you. I think that I think we came here actually to educate ourselves through the body, to have fun, and to actually create our own joy, even when everything's going wrong.
I hear that. I hear it. I definitely want to hold the space for that. I feel like these times are learning how to be whimsical, how to play, how to find joy, because once you break through whatever is going on in your mind, in your body, in your flow, and what you're learning, that is really what we're doing here. How much can we play, and how can we how can we do all the pillars that are needed to survive in this world, which is money, which is relationship, which is on top of that, great conversation, loving on others, and it goes into playing. My daughter right now, she's in Europe, and we were just talking about the differences and some of the things that she wants to bring back home with her in 20 years, and she's had this experience. So it's fun to watch these youngins go out and travel, and then they get to bring back what feels right to them, and the growth. 3 weeks of being out there, not even really know what she's going to do with her and her friend, but they kind of knew. So being able to open the vessel for being able to experience what happens. I love having those conversations. I think at a certain age, we forget that that's what we get to do, because we get to do that anytime we want. But somehow when we're in our 20s, we think, oh yeah, this is going to be easy to happen. But as we go along, we go, no, we're supposed to be working. No, we're supposed to take things serious. But the play is where I think all that comes back.
It's all a game anyway. You're going to make it up as you go along. I mean, if I looked back to my 20s and my 30s, I think I was way too worried about what every other person would think. And you get to this age and you go, I can be generous, I can be kind, and I can take a breath. And sure, we all want people to think well of us, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes we don't think well of people. So you take a breath and you move on, and just be kind. That's it. That's all I can say.
I love that. Well, Sheila Winter Wallace, we did it again. Got to open the window and have an experience through all this. I appreciate your time.
Anytime, Rhonda. It's always fun to talk to you.
Thank you. And the insightfulness, of being 80 and having that experience and having a group they brought together, like somebody's 59, you're like, just a few more days, you're going to be turning 60. Then But I mean, it's nice to be, I think you're just growing up and not really being in the experience about how wonderful it is as you're aging. The whole experience was like those 20s decade, and really thinking that's what life was. And it's so hard on our kids, because you think when you hit 30, everything is past, and now you go through this mundane space and you see that 30 hump where people are rediscovering and hopefully coming to this point at an early stage. Hopefully not when they're 80, all of a sudden they're thinking this, like, oh yeah, there's epiphany. But anytime it comes up is good. But I love the wisdom, the breathing, the leaning in, the giving space to say something, allow the body to receive it, to have that experience. That's what I'm in for. So I appreciate your time.
Mahalo, my friend. I appreciate it.
I love you, and we're going to be doing this again. I have a feeling we will be doing this again. Appreciate you at Fresh Talks Global Vision. Make sure you get some journaling going. This is a good experience before you leave this bubble to feel what has opened up. I want to know, what things are you feeling about yourself from where you were when you first came in to where you are now? I bet you've had some awareness about like the special sauce that you really are. And perhaps you were having a rough day because of something, because that's what happens. But when you do the work in the way of like that, you don't think of it as work, but it helps clear you, the more you get to live in exactly who you are. So I invite you into that. Appreciate you. Love you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.